Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. Coming up in the next hour, India conducts anti-terror Operation Sindoor. Defence forces strike 9 terror hubs of Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed deep inside Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Prime Minister Modi briefs the Union Cabinet on the military strikes against Pakistan, praises Indian Armed Forces for the success of Operation Sindoor. All Cabinet members express full faith in Narendra Modi's leadership. Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri says India exercised its right to respond, preempt and deter more cross-border attack plans by Pakistani-based terrorists. Two women officers brief media along with Foreign Secretary elaborate on reasons for choosing the 9 terror training ground targets, say munitions picked to ensure no collateral damage. And Pakistan violates ceasefire hours after India strikes terror camps. Indian Army responds appropriately. The Indian Armed Forces launched Operation Sindoor past midnight, hitting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. In a press release, the Armed Forces said that altogether 9 sites have been targeted. The Ministry of Defence, in a statement, said that the actions have been focused, measured and non-escalatory in nature. The ministry informed that no Pakistani military facilities have been targeted. It added, India has demonstrated considerable restraint in selection of targets and method of execution. Further, the ministry said that these steps come in the wake of the barbaric Pahalgam terrorist attack, in which 25 Indians and 1 Nepali citizens were murdered. It was further said that India is living up to the commitment that those responsible for the attack will be held accountable. Briefing media on Operation Sindoor, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri said that investigations into the Pahalgam terror attack have brought out the communication nodes of terrorists in and to Pakistan.
Investigations into the Pahalgam terror attack have brought out the communication nodes of terrorists in and to Pakistan. The claims made by the Resistance Front and their reposting by known social media handles of the Lashkar-e-Taiba speak for themselves. Identification of the attackers based on eyewitness accounts as well as other information available to law enforcement agencies has also progressed. Our intelligence has developed an accurate picture of the planners and backers of this team. The features of this attack also tie in with Pakistan's long track record of perpetrating cross-border terrorism in India, which is well documented and beyond question. Pakistan also has a well-deserved reputation.
Lashkar-e-Taiba launched a barbaric attack on tourists then.
आज सुबह, जैसा कि आपको ज्ञात होगा, भारत ने इस तरह के सीमा पार हमलों का जवाब देने और उन्हें रोकने तथा उनका प्रतिरोध करने के अपने अधिकार का प्रयोग किया है। ये कार्यवाही नपीतुली, नॉन एस्केलेटरी, आनुपातिक और जिम्मेदारीपूर्ण है। यह आतंकवाद की इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को समाप्त करने और भारत में भेजे जाने वाले संभावित आतंकवादियों को अक्षम बनाने पर केंद्रित है। आपको यह भी स्मरण होगा कि 25 अप्रैल 2025 को संयुक्त राष्ट्र सुरक्षा परिषद ने पहलगाम आतंकवादी हमले पर एक प्रेस वक्तव्य जारी किया था, जिसमें आतंकवाद के इस निंदनीय कार्य के अपराधियों, आयोजकों, फाइनेंसरों और प्रायोजकों को जवाबदेह ठहराने और उन्हें न्याय के दायरे में लाने की आवश्यकता पर जोर दिया गया था। भारत की आज की इस कार्रवाई को इसी संदर्भ में देखा जाना चाहिए।
Further, Vikram Misri informed that it was deemed essential that the perpetrators and planners of the 22nd April Pahalgam attack be brought to justice.
It was deemed essential that the perpetrators and planners of the 22nd April attack be brought to justice. Despite a fortnight having passed since the attacks, there has been no demonstrable step from Pakistan to take action against the terrorist infrastructure on its territory or on territory under its control. Instead, all it has indulged in are denials and allegations. Our intelligence monitoring of Pakistan-based terrorist modules indicated that further attacks against India were impending. There was thus a compulsion both to deter and to preempt.
The Foreign Secretary noted that India had given inputs about the Resistance Front TRF, an associate of LET, in the half-yearly report to the monitoring team of the UN's 1267 Sanctions Committee in May and November 2024, bringing out its role as a cover for Pakistan-based terrorist groups.
It is notable that India had given inputs about the TRF in the half-yearly report to the monitoring team of the UN's 1267 Sanctions Committee in May and November 2024, bringing out its role as a cover for Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Earlier too, in December 2023, India had informed the monitoring team about Lashkar and Jaish-e-Mohammed operating through small terror groups such as the TRF. Pakistan's pressure to remove references to TRF in the April 25 UN Security Council press statement is notable in this regard.
So, two women officers also briefed media alongside the Foreign Secretary, speaking on India's action on terrorist camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Wing Commander Vyomika Singh said that Operation Sindoor was launched to deliver justice to the victims of the Pahalgam terror attack and their families. The Wing Commander added that 9 terrorist camps were targeted and successfully destroyed.
9 terrorist camps were targeted and successfully destroyed. Over the last 3 decades, Pakistan has systematically built terror infrastructure. It is a complex web of recruitment and indoctrination centers, training areas for initial and refresher courses, and launch pads for handlers. These camps are located both in Pakistan as well as Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir areas. Some of the well-known training camps are located, as you can see on the screen. They are distributed from Savai Nala in the north, counting to approximately 21, ending at Bhavalpur to the south.
The Wing Commander further asserted that Operation Sindoor was carried out with due diligence, using niche technology weapons, careful selection of warheads.
Selection of these targets for Operation Sindoor was based on credible intelligence inputs and role of these facilities in perpetrating the terror activities. The locations were so selected to avoid damage to civilian infrastructures and loss of any civilian lives. This was done with due diligence. A niche technology weapons with careful selection of warheads was ensured so that there will be no collateral damage. The point of impact in each of the target was a specific building or a group of buildings. All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficiency, and the results reiterate the professionalism of the Indian Armed Forces in the planning and execution of their operations. No military establishments were targeted. India has demonstrated considerable restraint in its response. However, it must be said that the Indian Armed Forces are fully prepared to respond to Pakistani misadventures, if any, that will escalate the situation.
The Indian Army provided detailed insights into Operation Sindoor. Addressing the media, Colonel Sofia Qureshi detailed the 9 targeted terror camps in POJK and Pakistan altogether. The camps included Savai Nala camp, which is 30 kilometers from the line of control, also a training center for Lashkar-e-Taiba.
सवाई नाला कैंप मुजफ्फराबाद, जो कि पीओजेके के लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल से 30 किलोमीटर दूर है। यह एक लश्कर तौयबा का ट्रेनिंग सेंटर था। 20 अक्टूबर 2024 सोनमर्ग, 24 अक्टूबर 24 गुलमर्ग, 22 अप्रैल 2025 पहलगाम, इन हमलों के आतंकियों ने यहीं से प्रशिक्षण लिया था।
Sayyidina Bilal camp in Muzaffarabad was also targeted. This was a staging area of Jaish-e-Mohammed.
सैयदना बिलाल कैंप मुजफ्फराबाद, यह एक जैश मोहम्मद का स्टेजिंग एरिया है। यह हथियार, विस्फोटक और जंगल सर्वाइवल ट्रेनिंग का केंद्र भी था।
Further, it was informed Gulpur camp in Kotale, which was also the base camp of Lashkar-e-Taiba, was also targeted.
गुलपुर कैंप कोटली, यह एलओसी से 30 किलोमीटर दूर था। लश्कर तौयबा का बेस था, जो रजौरी, पुंछ में सक्रिय था। 20 अप्रैल 2023 को पुंछ में और 9 जून 2024 को तीर्थ यात्रियों के बस हमले में यहीं से आतंकी को ट्रेन किया गया था।
Barnala camp in Bhimber, used for weapon handling and jungle survival training, was also on the radar.
बरनाला कैंप भिम्बर, ये एलओसी से 9 किलोमीटर दूर है। यहाँ पर हथियार हैंडलिंग, आईईडी व जंगल सर्वाइवल का प्रशिक्षण केंद्र था।
Further, Colonel Qureshi gave details of the Abbas camp in Kotli, which was a training camp for elites Fidains.
अब्बास कैंप कोटली, यह एलओसी से 13 किलोमीटर दूर है। लश्कर तौयबा का फिदाइन यहाँ तैयार होता था। इसकी कैपेसिटी 15 टेररिस्ट को ट्रेन करने की थी।
Further, Sarjal camp in Sialkot was a training camp for terrorists involved in the March 2025 J&K police attack.
सर्जल कैंप सियालकोट, यह अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सीमा से 6 किलोमीटर की दूरी पर है। मार्च 2025 में जम्मू एंड कश्मीर पुलिस के 4 जवानों की जो हत्या की गई थी, उन आतंकवादियों को इसी जगह पर ट्रेन किया गया था।
Mehmoona Joya camp in Sialkot. This was one of the biggest camps of Hizbul Mujahideen, located 12 kilometers from the international border.
महमूना जाया कैंप सियालकोट, यह 18 से 12 किलोमीटर आईबी से दूर था। हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन का बहुत बड़ा कैंप था। यह कठुआ जम्मू क्षेत्र में आतंक फैलाने का नियंत्रण केंद्र था। पठानकोट एयरफोर्स बेस पर किया गया हमला भी इसी कैंप से प्लान और डायरेक्ट किया गया था।
Markaz Taiba camp in Murdike, this was a major terror camp of Lashkar-e-Taiba, located some 18 to 25 kilometers from the international border.
मरकज ताइबा मुरीद के, यह आईबी से 18 से 25 किलोमीटर दूरी पर है। 2008 के मुंबई हमले के आतंकी भी यहीं से प्रशिक्षित हुए थे। अजमल कसब व डेविड हेडली भी यहाँ ट्रेन हुए थे।
And finally, Markaz Subhanallah in Bahawalpur has been a stronghold of Jaish-e-Mohammed. It was led by Maulana Masood Azhar.
मरकज सुभान अल्लाह भावलपुर, ये इंटरनेशनल बाउंड्री से 100 किलोमीटर दूर है। जैश-ए मोहम्मद का मुख्यालय था। यहाँ पर रिक्रूटमेंट, ट्रेनिंग व इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन का केंद्र भी था। शीर्ष आतंकी अक्सर यहाँ आते थे।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has chaired a meeting of the Union Cabinet hours after India launched Operation Sindoor. According to sources, Prime Minister Modi gave details of the strikes to his cabinet colleagues. He said that the Indian Army has carried out the operation as per the preparations without any mistake. All the ministers of the Union Cabinet expressed their faith in the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said that the whole country stands with him. Prime Minister Modi also praised the armed forces for their successful operation. Meanwhile, the government has called an all-party leaders meeting at 11 in the morning on 8th of May in the Parliament complex in New Delhi. This will be to brief the all-party members about Operation Sindoor. And DD India's Dibyendu Mondal joins us on the operation for more. Dibyendu, do we know about the damage done to the terror sites? What more can you tell us? How seriously will the strikes erode the operational capabilities of Pakistani-based terrorists?
Well, Tanvi, that's true that we have been reporting since morning about the strikes that India carried out in Pakistan as well as Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Well, this has been a very targeted and precision-based operation on the terror hideouts and the terror camps that Pakistan had been harboring for very, very long time. And these terror camps were responsible for carrying out terrorist activities on the soil of India. And therefore, after meticulous planning, we had seen the Prime Minister holding meeting with the service chiefs, with the cabinet committees, with the Defence Minister, with the National Security Advisor since the last couple of days. And of course, this came after a very, very thorough planning by the Prime Minister's office, the armed forces as well as the Defence Ministry. And of course, it was a coordinated effort by all the three branches of the Indian Army, the Indian Air Force, the Navy as well as the armed forces. And of course, the Army did a press conference earlier in the day and did give us details about the precise target of these terrorist hideouts that have been taken down by the Indian Army. And of course, if I may read out about the 9 terror facilities and the locations of these 9 terror facilities, which were precisely targeted by the Indian armed forces to wipe them out, because remember, these were the same terrorist outfits which were training the terrorists that were carrying out attacks in different parts of the country. And we have seen over the last many decades that the Pakistan had been giving shelter to terrorists, and therefore 9 precise targets were taken in by the armed forces, and some of which were of course the Bahawalpur area, which has been the hotbed of the Jaish-e-Mohammed activities and Hafiz Saeed's activities in Bahawalpur, and his Markaz Subhanallah in Bahawalpur had been taken down by the Indian Army, and also Markaz Taiba in Murid Ke, as well as the Sarjal Tehra Kalan, which was operated by Jaish-e-Mohammed, Mehmoona Joya in Sialkot also Markaz Ahle Hadith in Barnala. This was an LET training camp as well as an hideout for the terrorists at this particular place in Barnala. There was also the Jaish-e-Mohammed hideout in Kotli, and it was Markaz Abbas. There was Maskar Rahil Shahid, which was also a Mujahideen hideout in Pakistan, and like this there were total of 9 precise locations that were targeted by the Indian forces early. In fact, on the intervening night of 6th and 7th, when this precise attack, the tactical precise attack, did take place in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, as well as in inside the land of Pakistan, where these terrorist organizations have been trained for many, many years. And also, Tanvi, let us give you a brief detail about how, in fact, we are hearing from multiple media reports that 14 family members of Hafiz Saeed who had taken shelter in the Bahawalpur Markaz Masjid have been killed. The media reports do suggest that 14 people as of now have been reported who were family members of Hafiz Saeed. Remember, he was the mastermind in the 26/11 attack, the Parliament attack. His family members, 14 of them, have been killed in this targeted, precision-based targeted attack, and 14 of his family members have been eliminated so far.
Dibyendu, do we have also any rough idea about how many terrorists have been targeted in this entire operation? Are we likely to get more details of Operation Sindoor, as was also said in the press briefing that there will be more briefings on the operation in the days ahead?
Well, Tanvi, as of now, we do not have the exact number of the casualties on the other side of the border, and of course we'll have to wait for the army and the PRO from the army to give out details. We do not want to jump the gun before it is officially released by the Indian Army. And of course, we should have a restraint in calculating or going by media reports that are circulating on social media. And let us wait for the exact number of people that could have been born under, in fact, the terrorists who have been born under the brunt of the Indian attack. And of course, we'll have to, as I said, we'll have to wait for more details. And yes, more details are likely to come out in the coming days. And as the army also did say that they will be holding multiple briefings in the coming days to give out further details of Operation Sindoor if and when it is required for the public consumption as well as public knowledge.
Okay, Dipendra, request you to stay with me as I'm joined by our esteemed guests here on the show. Burzeen Wagmar from South Asia Institute, University of London, joins us on the show, and with me in the studio is Colonel Danveer Singh. Colonel, what would you say the response to the Pahalgam terror attack coming as a soothing balm to the victims of this attack?
Absolutely, beyond doubt, the revenge has been taken. As the name suggests, Sindoor, which is basically a message to Pakistan that you wiped off the Sindoor of many women. And this is the operation we have come with precision strikes to take revenge, and we have taken a fantastic revenge. The footages that were shown during the briefing suggest that what a high-class technology has been used. None of the Pakistani radars could get a whiff of it, and absolutely precise, without any collateral, without any damage to civilian property and life. It speaks about the technological edge that India has, and it also talks about the professionalism with the Indian Armed Forces, the way they have tackled the whole affair. It was a synergy between the Army and the Air Force, and of course the Navy. So at a very national level, this response has taken place. Unlike Balakot, it was at national level, but it was confined to a service. Now this time it has been a tri-service show, and well, this is just the beginning. A lot more is to come in days ahead if Pakistan decides to respond.
Okay. Burzeen, coming to you now, a word on the nature of India's strikes on terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan. Limited, focused and non-escalatory in nature?
Indeed they are, because you see, limited military force is absolutely imperative to achieve rapid results and is a precondition for deterrence failure. And it's the question of deterrence which looms large, because what India has undertaken were, since those 2 points of no return, the December 2001 attack on the Indian Parliament and Bombay 2611, which led New Delhi to realize finally that cross-border terrorism talks and action from Pakistan's part is a imperative gesture for anything to occur for normalcy between both countries as such. And in the event of it not occurring, and clearly it has not, force projection is now imperative and mandatory for the Indian establishment. It is now a byword for the Indians as such, force projection that must be underscored in order to transform Pakistan from its strategy of compellence. That is absolutely essential to note, because only with these military airstrikes, which are limited and have not targeted Pakistan's economic installations or its civilian populace at large, are in entirely consonance with the legitimate use of force in the international arena.
Okay. Colonel Danveer, what would you say about the choice of the strikes for, sites, terrorist strikes that were used, the kind of weapons they were used, and India choosing the missile route?
See, India has struck in, I think, 25 odd minutes, 21 targets in 9 cities, and it has been a very classic high inter-services synergy at display, and the choice of weaponry also, as per the sources that is coming to us, is that we use Rafales, we have used scalp crews, we have also used hammer bombs, and we have also used the Indian-made Nagastra loitering munitions. So there is a wide variety of ammunition that has been used as per our sources. The correct picture will come to us once the official statement to this regard comes. But whatever it is, it has been a superb show by the three services. P8I was used for reconnaissance that even ISPR has reported. They were very happy about it a few days back, that they spotted P8I, least realizing the fools did not realize that you spotting a airliner is not a big deal, but what that airliner or the reconnaissance aircraft is picking up, you are missing out on that, and probably within 24 hours they got the message that that particular reconnaissance aircraft was up in the air searching targets, and what targets were they, that has been signed very
shown
clearly
to the world. Yes. Okay, Burzeen, what message do you think these strikes on terror infrastructure convey to Pakistan?
That Pakistan needs to modify its stance. The Pakistani deep state, which has deliberately, maliciously and consistently taken Pakistan to the brinksmanship of war in every such instance. And Pakistan's contention, or the doctrine of its deep state, that there is a bifurcation between good and bad terrorists is simply not on the cards, because nobody in the international community buys it. To declare that Pakistan is a keystone state and a non-NATO ally which is combating terrorism, and it's the only thing standing between terrorists and the West at large, is also utterly hollow. That claim has been put paid. Obviously, it was with Osama bin Laden being found there, but nobody in the international community and in Western capitals has any purchase on that. So all of Pakistan's contentions, which are hackneyed, strain credulity on this count over and over again, because everyone has prevailed on it, including its Chinese closest allies, that there is no such thing as good and bad terrorists.
Okay, and Colonel Danveer, can you also tell us the key differences between India's response to the Pulwama terror attack in 2019 and to the recent Pahalgam terror attack, the possible reasons for it?
When for Pulwama, when we went in for Balakot, we did not have those data links to our bombs that we had dropped, so we had no footage to show. And it was limited, it was strategic in nature, definitely, and it did call the bluff, the Pakistani nuclear bluff then. And now it is at a very wider front. It is beyond the line of control into the IB sector, and after 1971 war, this is the first time when the terror of military might, India's military might, has been struck in the heart of Pakistan, that is Punjab, and so to say precisely, that is Bahawalpur and Murid, where comes the Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed headquarters. So it's extremely, extremely important, both for strategic signaling to the world and showcasing that what Pakistan had been harboring, and also lowering the morale of Pakistani public as such, because for them the Pakistani military and the terror infrastructure which they had created was in a very, very safe land, and these guys used to threaten nuclear war at the drop of the hat. All that bluff has been called off.
Okay, Burzeen, now how can we expect the world at large to react to the strikes on terror infrastructure in Pakistan? We do have heard from the USA, China, Russia to exercise restraint, but how exactly do we expect these countries, West Asian countries also in particular, to react?
Well, the OIC did put out a statement, the OIC at the UN as such, and it was as good as written up by the Islamabad Foreign Office, insofar as I could read it between the lines, the text and subtext of it. But that can be safely dismissed, because India's relations with its Middle Eastern allies, particularly in the GCC, are extremely robust, and it's a far cry from what used to be India's relations in preceding decades. You must also realize that the UAE, Abu Dhabi primarily, takes an absolutely zero tolerance approach to Islamists, radicals and terrorists of all shades and hues, and is clearly on the same page with New Delhi. Likewise with Saudi Arabia and the Saudi Gazette, which announced overnight that terrorist operations were carried out by India. So the language, the consistency of its vocabulary and the tone and tenor give us to understand that Riyadh and Abu Dhabi, not to mention Bahrain and others, do stand, even if tacitly, on India's side on this question. The only aberration here in the Islamic world is, of course, Turkey, which has very close ties with Pakistan for a different reason altogether. And Ankara would come down and lean heavily on Islamabad's side, but that was already a given which the Indians have factored in. Might I just point out, Tanvi, on President Pezeshkian's condolence call to Prime Minister Modi. Tehran is claiming to be an international mediator on the question, but in the final analysis, it is not a disinterested partner because Iran has one too many complications in its bilaterals with both India and Pakistan. Just remember, only last year, January 2024, Iran struck drone attacks into Pakistan's Balochistan province, and Pakistan reciprocated subsequently. So they have their own problems of terrorism and narco-terrorism, and also counter-terrorism as such. And also that Tehran has always supported Pakistan in the 65 and 71 war theaters as such. So it's not exactly non-partisan or an honorable arbiter. I should like to point that out in light of the Iranian delegation's visit to Islamabad this week, and also which I'm given to understand is subsequently in the offing towards New Delhi. So that needs to be pointed out, that Iran has consistently supported Pakistan in both preceding wars and also on the question of Kashmir, and moral support tacitly to Islamabad on that front.
Okay. Well, reactions from within the country and abroad are also pouring in. Let's tell our viewers, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar on Operation Sindoor said the world must show zero tolerance for terrorism. Lauding India's armed forces, Home Minister Amit Shah said, and I quote him, Operation Sindoor is Bharat's response to the brutal killing of our innocent brothers in Pahalgam. The Modi government is resolved to give a befitting response to any attack on India and its people. Bharat remains firmly committed to eradicating terrorism from its roots. Speaking on Operation Sindoor, India's Ministry of State for External Affairs, Kirti Vardhan Singh, said that the entire country is happy that we have avenged those innocent people who lost their lives in the Pahalgam terror attack. Listen in. All right, Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Wednesday called an urgent meeting of chief ministers, chief secretaries and DGPs of states having borders with Pakistan and Nepal. The meeting has been called in the wake of the strikes carried out by the Indian Armed Forces on terror targets in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir as a retaliatory action against the Pahalgam terror attack. So let's go back to what Kirti Vardhan Singh, India's Minister of State for External Affairs, said on Operation Sindoor.
पूरे देश में इस बात की खुशी है कि हम लोगों ने बदला लिया। जिन लोगों ने निर्दोष हमारे नागरिकों की जानें ली थी, लोगों के मांग के सिंदूर मिटाए थे, उसको मुंहतोड़ जवाब हमारे देश ने दिया।
All right, now let me go back to Colonel Danveer Singh, who is with me in the studio. Colonel, Pakistan has already claimed that it has hit back at India for the strikes on the terror camps. Do we take that with a very large lump of salt?
Well, till the time Indian side does not respond on that, I think we should not take it as credible. Here I would like to put things on record, or in fact I would like to put the memory back on record again, that during 1971 war, a day prior to 90,000 plus surrender, the Pakistani media, especially the Dawn newspaper, had reported, it was a front headline, that Pakistan is winning and Pakistan is at the verge of defeating the Indian army. So it was just 24 hours prior to laying down the arms by 93,000 soldiers. So let's not take Pakistan, whatever it is saying, so seriously. In fact, it's all entertainment that is going on Twitter, especially when it comes from Pakistan.
Okay, it's all entertainment on Twitter. Burzine, coming back to you on the response from the world. So Israel was one of the first country to support India in this operation. Well, it continues to fight terror on its own soil post the Hamas attack. A word on Israel's support.
Israel's support has been consistent. Jerusalem has always stood on the same page with New Delhi, and it's always been more than a modicum of verbal support, in that it is Israeli intelligence and defense equipment which has transformed India's capabilities overnight. That is not often known in the Indian public square and in Indian public consciousness. I need to iterate that because it is absolutely imperative to note that it has been Israeli inputs, Israeli R&D, research and development and technology, that has helped India in more ways than one. I would even argue more so than its traditional ally and leaning on Moscow, which India has done over the decades. And you must realize that the Israelis fully understand where the Indians are coming from in these wanton, random, senseless, irrational attacks on bystanders going about their daily lives, whether as tourists, sitting at cafes, going to schools, boarding or alighting buses. This is precisely what happens on the streets of Tel Aviv and elsewhere in Israel, and plays out in India, whether at places of worship, in tourist locations in Kashmir, or in Hindu temples like the Akshardham attack, or an attack on the Indian state, symbolically like the Indian Parliament attack, or at India's financial and nerve center like Bombay and the hotels and the Victoria Terminus station in question. So these attacks chime with the Israeli public consciousness like nowhere else in the world, and they empathize with India extensively.
Okay, soon after the news of Operation Sindoor broke, fake videos shared by several pro-Pakistan handles started circulating online, refuting the claims. The Ministry of Defence has clarified that it is being falsely claimed about these strikes on Indian security establishments. The video shared is old and not from India. The video is from sectarian clashes that took place in the year 2024 in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa region of Pakistan. Further in this series, an old image showing a crashed aircraft is being recirculated by pro-Pakistan handles in various forms in the current context of Operation Sindoor. An image from an earlier incident involving an Indian Air Force MiG-29 fighter jet that crashed in Barmed, Rajasthan in September 2024 is also circulating. The government has thus urged countrymen to rely only on official Government of India sources for authentic information. Coming to Colonel Danvi now, sir, can we now, actually these fake news, do we expect Pakistan to indulge in such disinformation campaign even more now?
In fact, I would like to give credit to Government of India for advanced thinking on the process. They knew and they understood well that which are those handles, which are those social media platforms that have the potential to create and spread disinformation in India. So they timely, banned them in India, very rightly. And unfortunately, yes, this disinformation does make a difference as well, because a leading newspaper, Indian newspaper, has bought the bait and published it as true. And later on, I'm sure they would be issuing apologies, or maybe they have already issued that. I have not checked. So yes, this advisory to all the citizens that in case you are looking for credible information, wait for official statements by India, and of course watch your channel, because that's absolutely straight from the Government of India and absolutely authentic. So that is it. And yes, disinformation is very much part of hybrid warfare strategy by Pakistan, be it the cyber attacks, be it disinformation like as you are showing. So these are very much part of Pakistan's strategy.
So another message here, important message, to rely only on authentic sources of information in this hour of tensions between India and Pakistan. Burzine, a final question to you. Pakistan's defense minister has reportedly said that Pakistan is ready to end the conflict if India backs down. But he's also said that as long as India attacks, Pakistan has to respond. What do we make of that statement?
That statement if you put to me, Tanvi, as a historian, can be best responded like this. You see, and Colonel Singh will bear out what I say. In light of what happened after Operation Parakram in 2002 and the Twin Peaks crisis standoff, India has factored in and has decided it has to ride out every crisis with Pakistan by fighting under the shadow of the nuclear umbrella. Pakistan's threats that it will employ full spectrum of deterrence and anything and nothing is off the table, including nukes, is only to rattle India. And that's why there is now what is known as the cold start doctrine, which Indian planners implemented in the last 2 decades, that come what may, hell or high water, you have to combat Pakistan, and merely doing nothing and strategic paralysis is simply not an option. So the defense minister's contention must be foregrounded against what I've just explained to your viewers, that India will make these limited, measured, proportionate strikes, and they have to be undertaken, and Pakistan simply can't get away by running proxies against India and at the same time holding out the nuclear threat as a Damoclean sword. The time has long passed for that option for Pakistan to exercise. And so these strikes today, as well as in Pulwama and in Uri, have to be seen against that context. It is here to stay, strikes of this nature from the Indian defense establishment.
Strikes are here to stay. I would like to thank you, Burzeen Wagmar, joining us from the University of London. Coming to you, Danveer ji, is Pakistan likely to retaliate significantly, or it would be highly unwise of Pakistan to retaliate now, given its limited military, diplomatic and financial capabilities?
Both the things are correct. It has got very limited capital as far as military is concerned, diplomatic depth is concerned, and things associated. And also Pakistan has no other option but to retaliate, because you have to understand the situation in Pakistan. Pakistan military was looking at some kind of a legitimacy. That is why Asim Munir, if you go back to that statement wherein he invoked or revived the memories of two-nation theory, anti-Hindu stance, and telling the Pakistanis that you should tell your next generation that what all sacrifice and all that bullshit that they have done. So that showed that they are on very softer grounds and they are uncomfortable, they are not stable, and this comes more clear when you have Khyber Pakhtunkhwa Maulvi saying that we will not support the Pakistan army. It comes very clear, and in the face of Pakistan, when Lal Masjid Maulvi asked the gathering over there that will you support Pakistan army in case India attacks, none of the people present there supported that aspect. And very recently, that is I think yesterday, Fazlur Rahman, a member of National Assembly, walked out of National Assembly saying that nobody is so serious about when the war is at the door. So all these things, so Pakistan army has no other option but to strike. But at the same time, if India has struck the terror camps, India has been very selective, very surgical on that. Can Pakistan do a same thing when there is no such camp in India? So it has no other options but to strike on infrastructure, civilian or military, and in both the cases, the Indian response that will come by thereafter is going to be extremely, extremely decisive, and that is very well known to everybody in the world. And that is why you had Khwaja Asif, who was saying that if India backs down, we will also water down.
But on the broader front, Danveer, would it be fair to say that India's blatant sponsorship of terror has been exposed to the world yet again?
Absolutely, and what could be a better dossier than the briefing itself, wherein they had shown all the terrorist strikes in India, and they had highlighted that over 300 some civilians have been killed by direct Pakistani action of terror on Indian soil.
Thank you very much, Colonel Danveer, for giving us your perspective on Operation Sindoor. Well, Indian Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narval's father, Rajesh Narval, said that the government of India has taken the right step. They will always remember this strike. Indian Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narval was killed in the deadly Pahalgam terror attack on April 22nd.
आज भारत सरकार ने वो काम करके दिखाया है। हाँ, जिन घरों से जिनके लाल चले गए उनका जीवन तो वापस नहीं आ सकता, परंतु ऐसा कुछ हो कि इस तरह की कायराना हरकतें और बुज़दिली हरकतें करने की कोई साहस ना करे। उनको एक संदेश मिल चुका है मेरी सरकार की तरफ से, हमारी सरकार की तरफ से, कि यदि कभी उंगली भी उठाई तो उसका जवाब कैसा होगा, उनको समझ लेना चाहिए।
Vinay Narval's mother, Asha Narval, has expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi and said today a tribute has been paid to all those who lost their lives.
ये बहुत ही अच्छी बात है कि जो उन्होंने मोदी साहब ने बदला लिया है। सेना के जवानों को यही मैसेज देना चाहती हूँ कि आगे बढ़ते रहो। उन सभी को श्रद्धांजलि मिली है, वो जो शहीद हुए हैं उनको न्याय मिला है।
Also killed by terrorists in Pahalgam was Syed Adil Hussain Shah, a local who was shot while he was trying to save the tourists. On Operation Sindoor, his father, Haider Shah, said he is thankful to the government for taking revenge.
आज जो उन 26 लोगों का बदला वहाँ पे लिया गया तो हम तो खुश हैं। हम इस गवर्नमेंट का शुक्रिया अदा करते हैं, फौज ने और गवर्नमेंट ने इसका बदला लिया।
So relatives of victims of Pahalgam attack continue to applaud India's strike on Pakistan. Family of Shubham Dwivedi, who was killed in the terrorist attack in Pahalgam, has expressed gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The family said the grief of losing Shubham is still fresh for them, and in such a situation, the retaliatory action of the Indian Army has brought some relief to their hearts.
बहुत धन्यवाद करती हूँ, उनसे बहुत थैंक यू कहती हूँ कि उन्होंने मेरे पति की मौत का बदला लिया है। जिस तरीके से हमारे पूरे परिवार को उन पे विश्वास था, उन्होंने उसी तरीके से जवाब देके हमारे विश्वास को कायम रखा है। एंड आई एम रियली थैंकफुल। असली श्रद्धांजलि, और शायद वो आज जहाँ पे भी है, आज वो शायद थोड़ी शांति में होगा।
जब 22 अप्रैल को हमारा बच्चा शहीद हुआ वहाँ पे, तब भी हमने ऐसा कहा था, हमारे बच्चे के साथ जो बाकी के जितने भी लोग शहीद हुए, तभी मैंने कहा था कि नहीं, एक अब क्रांति आएगी हमारे देश में। और मुझे विश्वास था कि हमारे माननीय प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी हमारी भावनाओं का, हमारे जो हम लोग एक दुख के दौर से गुजर रहे हैं, उन भावनाओं का आदर करेंगे और आतंकवाद के समूल नाश के लिए वो निश्चित रूप से बहुत कठोर कदम उठाएंगे।
Savri Jagdale, daughter of Santosh Jagdale, who was killed in Pahalgam terror attack, said it is a real tribute and justice to those who were killed by terrorists.
जो मेरे पिताजी का या फिर जितने भी उधर बच्चे थे, उन सबके पिताजी और जितनी भी औरतें थे, उनके पतियों का जो मतलब जान ली गई, तो उनका ये मरण जो था वो वेस्ट नहीं हुआ। और मुझे लगता है ये उनके लिए आज सच में दी गई एक श्रद्धांजलि है जो भारत ने एयर स्ट्राइक करके की है। मोदी जी को मैं बस तहे दिल से थैंक यू बोलना चाहती हूँ।
And let's go back to Dibyendu Mondal, who is covering the story for us. Dibyendu, India is also conducting mock security drills today to check readiness for emergency situations. A word on that and what can we expect in fact, hours ahead?
Well, Tanvi, this is as per the plans that the Government of India and the Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India did put out this notification day before yesterday, stating that mock drills will be conducted in 244 districts across India. This is in fact a readiness measures that the government has been undertaking to ensure that the civilians as well as the security forces, the localized security forces as well as the civic volunteers are prepared for any eventualities that may occur. And now that this news has come in since morning, early this morning, that there has been precise attack on terrorist camps in Pakistan as well as Pakistan occupied Kashmir. This brings in more heightened security measures that needs to be put in place across the country to ensure that in case of an enemy attack, the civilians are prepared. And as far as the mock drills are concerned, that the protocols during a wartime or during an attack, missile attack or aerial attack, the sirens that go on, where these sirens will be checked, these sirens are being buzzed in different parts of the country to see whether the citizens are aware as to what drills that they need to follow when such warning signals or warning sirens are put in place or sounded in the civilian area. So therefore, this drill is important as we talk, Tanvi, also because of the fact that since 1971, these drills have not been conducted in India because India has not had any major conflict since 1971, and there was a localized conflict in Kargil, but then that was restricted to the state of Jammu and Kashmir only. But given the current situation, Tanvi, it is very, very important for making the citizens of India aware as to what measures, what actions they need to take when if and when a hostile aerial attack do take place.
Okay.
And yesterday we did see the NDMA, the National Disaster Management Authority, did put out visuals also educating people as to how they should behave and what protocols to be followed in case of such an attack. Tanvi.
Also to rely on authentic sources of information. Thank you very much, Dibendu Mondal, for tracking this continuous developments on Operation Sindoor for us. Meanwhile, hours after India launched Operation Sindoor, Pakistan yet again violated the ceasefire. Pakistan violated the ceasefire agreement by firing artillery in Jammu and Kashmir's Bhimbar Gali. However, in response to Pakistan's violation, the Indian Army responded appropriately. Additional Director General of Public Information, Integrated Headquarters of Ministry of Defence, posted on X confirming the development in a statement. And as we wind up, we are bringing you a video which was presented in the press briefing on Operation Sindoor, outlining the continuous series of terrorist attacks against India, India bearing the brunt of it. So no more. That's the message from the Indian establishment. Well, what we need is collective effort to combat terrorism and all its forms from throughout the world. That's all in this edition of DD India News Hour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live, and you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates from the world. We'll be back with more news as it breaks around DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.